Welcome. Welcome in to another show. So you see it at the bottom. You see the Cavs season is over. I kind of shied away from speaking about the Cavs after Game 3. I had some feelings about Game 2 and Game 3. Once those two games happened, I kind of saw something. And I didn't speak on the Cavs because I didn't just want to be out there negative speaking about the home team. So I kind of left that alone. But today I'm finally in a good place where I'll break down some of the things that I saw where the Cavs could have done differently. And also I'll break it down from a different perspective that I haven't seen on what are some of the things the Cavs could have done differently. Pardon me. So besides the Cavs and the title going there, shout out to everybody jumping in the stream. I appreciate y'all. So this is my weekly sports show. I cover the top stories in sports every week with a heavy emphasis on Cleveland sports because I'm a Cleveland sports fan. Born and raised in Cleveland, and I've been rooting for all Cleveland sports teams my whole life. So this week, like I said, we're going to wrap up the Cavs season. We're also going to cover a story with Caleb Williams. Really strange story that came out this week from an ESPN article based on a book that someone's going to be releasing about how Caleb Williams and his dad wanted to do everything in their power for him to not end up on the Chicago Bears. And just going to kind of look at that situation and some of the reactions that we're getting from that situation with Caleb Williams. I think it's pretty funny because I'm not seeing the backlash so far right away like we saw for Shedeur and Coach Prime. So we'll go through that. The media, I've been telling y'all for a couple of weeks now, the media is going to change how they view the situation with Shedeur Sanders as they get to see him more, as he gets to speak for himself, and we're not looking at other people and trying to interpret if they're saying something that he believes or if it's actually coming from him. We're starting to see that the media, the national media, is really starting to change how they view Shedeur Sanders, and now they're really starting to question things. So I'm going to definitely get into all things Shedeur at some point during the show. Then also, it wouldn't be right if I didn't do a shameless plug. So Offtharecorddee on all platforms. I appreciate you wherever you're tuning in from. I have X, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube. So tap in anywhere that you follow me and, show me some love. I appreciate that. I'm working on a new segment for the show. That's going to be comment creeping. But I need some help from y'all. I need y'all to go over to my YouTube page. Offtharecorddee is what you see on the top of the screen above my head. And subscribe to the channel, trying to build that thing up, trying to get my views up, trying to be a source of logical coverage of Cleveland sports. So not trying to get overly emotional in situations, which it will happen. I'm a sports fan. It happens. But I'll try to limit that and try to give you more of a logical breakdown based on, what I see, especially coming from all the teams, the players, and et cetera. So definitely tap into Offtharecorddee on YouTube. Comment on whatever video you're watching on YouTube. And I'm going to go back through those comments, and we're going to tap into those comments throughout shows going forward. So definitely going to be enjoying once we get that segment added. That's going to be comment creeping. To be a part of that, all you have to do is go over to my YouTube page and comment anything that you see. That's a great question. So if you're going to listen to this in podcast form, I'm going to shout out this question that we got on TikTok. Shout out to Biggs Boppa. He says, do you think the NFL can put a lid on the collusion because the league controls the narrative? Me personally, I don't think it was collusion. I think it was groupthink. I think there were about 5 teams that Shedeur could have went to. And I think of those 5 teams, they started to listen to each other. And that's why he ended up falling. I don't think it had much to do with his football talent or on the field. I think it was definitely more of a power play. And just kind of making sure that, they humbled him a little bit based on how he and his dad handled the pre-draft process. So shout out to Biggs Baba for the question. Shout out to you for the follow. I appreciate that. All right, so let's see. That was a great question. I appreciate that. First topic we're gonna get to. So there's a big story this week. We're gonna jump over to X. So let me just get this all set up for y'all. All right, so it was a situation where Emmanuel Acho, he gave his thoughts on how the Boston Celtics match up against the New York Knicks. KD clapped back once he saw what Emmanuel Acho had to say. So we're gonna get through this whole thing. So first, we're gonna show. Dang, I'm tripping. I'm not showing y'all anything. Let me get this up on the screen for y'all. Then y'all know what I'm talking about. All right, so now you got it. All right, so Emmanuel Acho says that I'm gonna let him say it, but KD claps back. After KD claps back, I'm going to break down and tell you what I see from this situation. So let's get it. Let's start off with Emmanuel Acho and what he says.
Because I want to go as far as to say the Boston Celtics match up better versus the New York Knicks without Jason Tatum than they do with Jason Tatum. Not because of talent. Break that down. Not because of.
All right, so I'm just going to pause it right there. I don't know if y'all heard it from the beginning. He said the Boston Celtics match up better against the New York Knicks without Jason Tatum. And he started to say not because of talent. First off, I'm just going to say no. I don't agree with that just off the rip. We're going to see what he has to say. We're going to let him explain it. So we're going to listen. Let's hear him out.
The talent exclusively because of mindset. I believe that a team is a reflection of its leader. Jason Tatum is the leader of the Boston Celtics. They are an incredible team, an incredibly talented team, but they are not as tough a team. There was a moment, James Jones, there were 7 minutes, 45 seconds left in the game. The Celtics were up by maybe 18 points.
I'm going to pause him right here. A lot of times I'm hearing football guys say when they are talking about the NBA, they're talking about someone isn't as tough. They're not tough enough. That is not something that's quantifiable. So whenever someone says that, I kind of start to question what they're going to say next. But it definitely, my ears perk up and say, I hope that they can actually explain what they mean. Because if they can't explain what they mean, then I'm just kind of throwing it out the window. I'm not even listening to it. I'm saying, hey, that doesn't matter what they're saying, especially when they get to this toughness thing. That was the last time I spoke on the Cavs. I also was questioning people who were saying the Cavs weren't tough. So you can go back and check out that video if you care to. It's on my YouTube page. But I don't like the hiding behind the tough thing. Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out.
Jason Tatum in this moment where Jaylen Brown is, he would have shot the three. Instead, Jaylen Brown, he pumps, he drives, he dishes, dunks. And now what goes on to be a 21-point game would have probably been, if Jason Tatum is out there, I believe a three, you might miss the three and it ends up going the other way. Now, the reason I'm showing y'all this at the very end of the game is over at this point, is because Jaylen Brown stood there and let every player that played in the game and those that didn't.
All right, so I listened to this already, but that's the meat and potatoes of what he felt. He feels the Boston Celtics are tougher without Jason Tatum. They're tougher with Jaylen Brown being the leader. And his example was, instead of Jaylen Brown shooting a three, which actually was great defense, he got ran off the three-point line. He drove to the hoop. They collapsed on him. Then he fed the ball to the open man who was cutting to the hoop. I believe Jason Tatum could also make that play. I don't think that was something where it was like, man, only Jaylen Brown could do this. But that's what he did, and that's the first reason he gave. The second reason Acho gave was he dapped everybody up after the win. Those are his two reasons why he believes that, behind Jaylen Brown and him being the leader of the show, they would be better suited to face the Knicks without Jason Tatum. So usually in sports, what happens is we get these guys, they give these takes, and I'm just going to keep speaking while I find the KD portion of this. We get these guys, they give these takes, and when they give these takes, it's kind of like nobody there to question or follow up on what actually happened. So I got so many things here. We don't get a quick follow up. So usually a lot of this stuff gets said. Actually, I'll go to his post. KD should be pretty high on here. Okay. All right, so I'll say this part. So usually we don't get to see if these guys were truly right or truly wrong very quickly. In this situation, we were able to get an answer if he was right or wrong with what he said very quickly. So now let's get to what KD said, and then I'll tell you what the answer is. All right, so KD said, hot take artists have ruined the sport. Football guys, no disrespect, but y'all boys need to stay in your lanes. You don't know what it's like in between these lines, man. Give it a break. Dudes who quit football early to pursue media talking mental toughness, cut it out. So that was KD's clapback. So initially I saw before game 6, I saw a lot of people kind of coming at KD saying, oh, Acho's actually right on this. He's actually right on this. He's right. And I don't see where he's right. I don't see where he's right at all. He's given things that aren't quantifiable. He showed one play, and that was all he did. If he went and he showed, a bunch of plays, or he showed a bunch of different times, he liked what Jaylen Brown did in situations that were similar to what Jason Tatum did, and he compared and he gave you an overall view of it based on a lot of data. He went based on one play and him dapping some people up over the game. Guess what happens? They got to play game 6. Jaylen Brown is the leader. What's happening? The outcome of that game is Knicks smacked the Celtics. Not even close. But what happened? Jaylen Brown's the leader. He's balling. He's showing up. The first half, nobody is riding that train with him. Nobody is there to back him up when his team needs it. Nobody can hit a shot. Nobody can hit an open shot. Nobody can hit a layup. Nobody can grab rebounds. Knicks go crazy. Knicks are up 27 at the half. Smack them. Not even close. Why does that matter? That matters because usually, like I said, they give these crazy takes and then we don't get a follow-up to see if they were right or wrong. With this, he said this take, this is the 15th. He said this take 2 days later, this is the 17th. We already got the answer. Wrong. Wrong. Very wrong. I'm not saying you have to play in the NBA to be able to cover the NBA or to be able to speak on the NBA. I'm not saying that at all. I think there are people who can study the game, get an understanding of the game, and then cover the NBA. I think that's possible. I think in this situation and in a couple other situations with Acho, I think Acho intends to spark discussions. I don't think he's always given a good analysis on different sports that aren't football. And that's what I believe he was doing in this situation, because the analysis part, it's not there. It's not there. There's no way you telling me a team that just won a championship last year is going to be mentally tougher without, whether you call them the 1A or 1B player, is not playing. It's not happening. You can go across any NBA team, take away the 1A or the 1B player, and tell me how that team is going to be mentally tougher. The Celtics didn't even believe it was mentally tougher without Jason Tatum. They gave it their all. They did as best as they could in Game 5. Game 6, the real Celtics showed up without Jason Tatum, and they got smacked. Smacked. So that's Acho's bad take. It's funny. I saw people who agree with him in the beginning, and then after it went so bad, they're just like, all right, we're going to move on to the next thing. We're gonna act like that didn't happen. So now we're going to get to, let me update this. We're going to get to, are the Cavs soft? And is that the reason why they got eliminated this year in the playoffs? Let's get this updated. All right, so whenever you see me updating topics, just hit the like button, like the screen, tap the screen, sub if you enjoy what you're hearing so far. Show me some love if you are here while I'm upgrading the topics and you enjoying what you hear. Let's see. And then I'm just going to make sure this looks right. Are the Cavs soft? Let me get a little bit of adjustment here. All right, swing that over. All right. So we got to update it. Are the Cavs soft? We got to update it there. We're gonna go to Kendrick Perkins. Is this the one? There's a couple clips on Kendrick. I think this is the one I want to use. This is the shorter clip. We're gonna make this full screen.
That had all now.
So, this is what I'll say first. I disagree about this take on the Cavs being soft. And the reason why I disagree is because you are who you are. If the Cavs were soft, it would have showed up in the Heat series. If the Cavs were soft, it would have showed up in the regular season. So, I'm telling y'all, early on, I reject the Cavs being soft. I reject it. Now we're going to go here, and then we're going to break down the reasons why I believe people are coming at the Cavs so hard, reasons why people are kind of just disrespecting the Cavs players on a totally different level. And we're going to break down some things that I see that the Cavs could have done better, and we're going to talk about some adjustments because that's where you win and lose in the playoffs. You win and lose with how willing to make adjustments you are, especially as a coach. So let's hear Kendrick Perkins.
All of a sudden, we are here now, again, a Donovan Mitchell-led team that had all the pieces. You make a trade at the deadline to go get a DeAndre Hunter, who's soft as well, too, because you don't sit out a game 2 for a dislocated thumb, bro. Like, fuck no. Evan Mobley, you sit out game 2 but play game 3 because you have a little pain and soreness in your fucking ankle sprain? See, that's the difference of mentality when you look at those guys and Donovan Mitchell. How many times y'all watched that game last night and the camera went on Donovan and it was like Donovan wanted the world to know that his ankle was sore and that he was pushing through it. I'm giving it my all, y'all, but I got a sore ankle. Go look at Anthony Edwards and what happened to him game 2. We ain't heard shit about it.
All right, so that's his take. Actually, I want to clip the person. I want to jump here real quick and just show you what the person who actually posted this said. They said, note, DeAndre Hunter didn't have a sore thumb. It was dislocated and swelled so much he couldn't hold a basketball. Mind you, this is on his shooting hand. Dislocated thumb on his shooting hand. Couldn't hold a basketball. Kendrick Perkins says, oh, because your thumb hurt, go out there and play. Evan Mobley, oh, you got soreness in your ankle. Evan Mobley was in a walking boot after game 1. And it was reported he was in a walking boot for 2 days. That's not just soreness in the ankle. Everybody know Donovan was hurt. And if you notice, he didn't bring up Darius Garland. Darius Garland, everybody called and said, hey, he needs to play. He needs to push through. He needs to be tough. Go out there and do it. Give it your all, just for the sake of being out there. Okay, he did it. How effective did he look? How efficient did he look? Did it make a difference in the Cavs winning or losing this series? Darius Garland going out there. See, the issue I have with this is, do you believe injuries are real or not? If you just tell me, you know what, I don't believe no injury is real, if it's not broken, then I would accept that. If you tell me that's the side you're on, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't question things that I can't quantify. This is one of those things. If they say normal turf toe, it can take months to heal. Sprained ankle, everybody know that's usually a 6-week injury. Dislocated thumb on your shooting hand. These are injuries that I'm just saying, you know what? If they have the opportunity to play, they'll play. If they don't, they don't. I understand. So they went out there game 3. Cavs go out game 3. That's when all their soft talk should have went away. And the reason why it should have went away is because They all pushed through and played through injury. Evan Mobley, if you look at the beginning of game 3, he was just dropping the ball. He just couldn't handle the basketball. They were throwing him soft. He just couldn't handle it. These are ways that you can look at the game and see something's not right. Darius Garland, he was good in the first half. He got those. He was good for the first quarter and a half. He got those fouls. He had to sit on that bench. Second half, he's falling. He's losing his balance. He's not as stable. Doesn't have that quickness, that burst that makes his game special. People just kind of overlooked it because they was doing a lot of questioning Darius Garland. Hunter couldn't make no shots. It was the reverse. Hunter was making shots in game 3. Then he couldn't make shots in game 3. But they all went out there. So that's when all the soft talk should have went away. People, and I'm saying this to everybody, people are so upset about the Cavs losing. I'm going down the list. I got a list of reasons why people are upset. The first one is they did not take the Indiana Pacers seriously. Not the Cavs players, the media, the fans. It was multiple times you heard people prior to the series, they were just banking and betting on the Cavs were going to be playing the Celtics in the next round. You know what the problem is? You got to play the team that's in front of you. And I don't know how anybody could look at the Indiana Pacers and not respect them. Last year they went to the Eastern Conference Finals and everybody said somebody was hurt on every team that they ended up going through. Look at the numbers that Giannis put up in round 1 against the Pacers, and they basically still had no shot. Put them out in 5. People, that's why people were so shocked. That's the first thing. They didn't respect the Pacers. They didn't respect them. They only respected Boston. I heard people say, oh, man, basically you just look at the Cavs, the Celtics, Oklahoma City. They the 3 best teams. They should just get there. The problem is you got to play the games. You got to go out there. In between those white lines, you got to play the games. You don't just get a pass where you just get to jump through and go to the next round. You got to play the games. So if you respected the Pacers, if you watched the Pacers against Milwaukee, you would have saw their pace. Their pace gives people problems. Every make or miss, they're running. They're running. They getting up court. What are they doing? They play almost 10 guys. They're tiring you out. So the shorter your rotation is, the faster you're going to burn out. Game 3, 4, 5. You done. You toast. What happened? Game 2, Donovan was super gassed. And everybody said, he was exaggerating. No, he was gassed. They won game 3. And everybody thought, man, we figured them out. All it took for us was to run a zone and put Evan Mobley at the top of the zone, and they can't do nothing with it. 48 hours later, they go play game 4. We down by 40 after the first half. The zone, you can't lean on the zone like that, like they can't crack it. Defense in the playoffs is about you deciding what you're going to take away. What are you going to take away from the Pacers? What do the Pacers want to do? The Pacers want to collapse the defense, shoot corner threes because those are the shortest threes. That's their first choice. If they had their first choice, that's what they would do every single time down. What did the Cavs do to try to take that away? They went to the zone, put Evan Mobley at the top. The way you attack in the zone is you go right to you get to the free throw line. Everybody's natural basketball instincts kick in. And the way that they've defended basketball there since they was little kids. Don't give up no layups. Don't give up no layups. But what does that lead to? Open corner threes. So we're not taking away the number one thing they want to do. And at the flip side of that is they're running and we getting more gas and more gas and more gas. Those are my two things. Didn't respect the Pacers. We didn't take away anything they wanted to do. In the playoffs, you have to take away something if you want to win. You're not going to take away everything. You're not going to hold a team to 0, but you have to take away something that they really like to do. We weren't able to do that. That's on the defensive end. So a lot of people just talk about the shots that we missed, but they're not talking about the defensive end and what they wanted to do. I would have preferred Halliburton score 50 than Halliburton having, double-digit assists. How long is it going to take Halliburton to score 30 versus him hitting it to, guys and them getting wide open threes and, he get 30 points with assists? Well, that's 10 possessions. If he's getting twos, it's going to take him 15 possessions just to get 30. But we couldn't do that with the type of defense we ran. What else happened? The Cavs went through very long stretches in this entire series. They could not score a point. And there was two things that was happening at the same time. One of the things that was happening when the Cavs couldn't score, the Pacers' pace. In game 1 and 2, you're not really thinking about the pace that much. But when you have a couple games under your belt and you have these long dry spells of not being able to score, by the time game 4 is here, that pace is catching up with you, where you're second guessing the shots that you take, or you're rushing shots because you got to get a score because how fast they get back and score. And the Cavs had, I think they went in game 5, they had a stretch. Might have been about 6 or 7 minutes. They couldn't score. How long did they go in the second quarter of game 4 in Indiana without scoring? I think they had like a 6 or 7 minute stretch of not making any field goals in that game. The Cavs need a go-to play when all else fails. If you're wondering what a go-to play is when all else fails, watch the Denver Nuggets. They play game 7 tomorrow. Win, lose, or draw, the game on the line, if they're trying to put somebody out of a game or if they are trying to win a game at the end of the game, what play they running? High pick and roll. Jokic, Jamal Murray, they've been running it since before they won the championship game. Everybody know that's coming. And when they really need a bucket, that's what they go to. And they say, pick your poison. It's cool. Go up under. Jamal Murray shoot the 3. Show hard. We're going to throw it to Jokic as he's rolling. Let him make decisions from there. What's the problem if Jokic is the roller because you do a hard show on Jamal? What happens to the defense? You're going to have somebody. You're going to have one of the wing guys, usually Gordon. He's going to be slashing from the three-point line at the same time that they're collapsing the defense on Jokic. Easy dunk. That's the 3 levels of that play that they run whenever they need a bucket. What play do the Cavs run when they need a bucket? Don't worry. I'll wait. They don't have a play. They don't have a play. It's no way they still haven't implemented a steady diet of a high pick and roll with Evan Mobley, especially when Jared Allen is on the bench. There's no way we haven't established that. There's no way. We still don't have that. Next thing. I already talked about the zone. I got a little list because I want to make sure I didn't forget nothing because it was all these things that I saw that we could have done differently that we just didn't do. What adjustments, when we got smacked in game 4, what adjustments did we make going into game 5? What are some adjustments we could have made? DeAndre Hunter could have been inserted into the starting lineup with Jared Allen going to the bench. What does it take? What type of coach do you need to make that decision? Jared Allen's been starting all these games. He got his, so many game streak going of him starting. You know how hard it is for you to be like, man, hey, you can't start. Why would it make sense to start Hunter over Allen? Why would that make sense? It makes sense on offense. Let's go offense first. On offense, you had somebody else who can drive to the basket. He's a slasher. He also can shoot the spot three. What does that do to the defense? That's keeping more people at home. Nobody can just, collapse against their man. And it's also, if Jared Allen is in, we know he's not shooting the ball more than 10 feet away from the basket under any circumstances. So what is that going to do? That's going to also attach a Pacers player right there to the hoop with him. What does that do to the defense? Once they dismantled the zone so bad, you can switch. No double teams. No collapsing on anybody. The problem that we ran into with the zone was, instead of them just doing like a lot of teams do and hunting out a player that we always wanted to attack and then just attacking that player like the Celtics were doing with Darius Garland, they just created conflicts as soon as they got into the paint. TJ McConnell, they talked to him after game, I think it might have been halftime of game 4 or after game 4. And he said, oh, man, I was just in there to tear stuff up. I was just in there to attack the zone, wreck it up, just wreck up the zone. Because then when you are the zone, you want people scrambling. The problem is when they're forced to scramble on offense, you do swing. Where does it end up? Corner 3. That's the main thing they want from their offense. So the thing that we think we're taking away, so they can't hunt one of our guys, we are opening up the number one thing that they want to do. So you see how it was other things that we should have done, but it takes a strong coach to say, Jared Allen, we got to sit you down. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley should not have been on the court at the same time, especially once we got to game 5. Once we got to game 5, Jared Allen should have came off the bench. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen should never been on the court at the same time. We should have kept one big, and we should have switched on screens, pick and rolls, whatever. Jared Allen, if that means you out there on the island, force him to try to drive past you, because we rather give up the twos. We want to give up the layups. We don't want to keep giving wide open threes to corner shooters. That's not what we want to do. That's what they want. So you want to take that away. We weren't able to take it away. Tempo. Have y'all ever seen like when it's two guys about to fight and then one guy just hits a guy in the pressure point? You used to see this a lot in karate. You see him hit that pressure point and then the dude just fall. That's what happened. That's what the Pacers' tempo did to the Cavs. They sped the Cavs up. By games 4 and 5, the Cavs took so many rushed long jumpers, it didn't make sense. And we're just feeding the Pacers for everything they want to do. A team that wants to get out and run, why are you taking contested long jump shots or long jumpers, long threes, only setting them up to get out and run? It makes no sense. So we're not taking away nothing they want to do on offense. We're actually, the way we're running our offense is setting up their offense based on what they want to do. So it was just all these different things where you're just like, the Cavs are not going to beat this team this year. So in open, I was saying, I saw something in the series, even though we won game 3, and I never made another video about the Cavs series because I was like, we are falling into their trap. And we are also always behind the 8 ball. So I like airplanes. Let me tell y'all something that pilots talk about. I'm not a pilot. I watch a ton of stuff. I would love to get my private pilot license one day. Love to have an airplane one day. You do all these things before you take off, especially with your route, your plan and everything, so you're always ahead of the airplane. When you get behind the airplane, you're making too many major decisions on the spot. And that's what they did. The Cavs losing game 1 and then the way they lost game 2, we were behind the 8 ball and we couldn't get back ahead. The only way the Cavs were able to get back ahead was if we left Indiana 2-2. That was the only way. Once the Cavs did not leave Indiana 2-2, the series was over. Because they're playing with house money and we can never put pressure on them. And then when it was going to be some pressure on them, they used a sledgehammer to kill a gnat in game 4. And I'm just watching this and I'm like, man, they're not going to make it out this series. So if you're one of the people where I reviewed you speaking on the Cavs throughout this series, I challenge you. Just refute anything I said about what the Cavs could have done differently in this series. Because a lot of times when people question things, when they go to the toughness, when they go to the Cavs are soft thing, you rarely hear them talk about real things that the team can do to be better and to play better and to perform better. So that's why I just wanted to do this long breakdown of things that I saw that the Cavs could have did better, or they could have adjusted, or they could have adapted to make this a series. And once it didn't happen, I didn't want to be negative Nancy speaking on the home team. So I just say, you know what? I'm going to let it be. I'll speak on this series after the series is over. Because then, you just get all the hate comments. You don't believe. You don't have a hope. What happened to us? Just like in Mario Brothers, we lost. So that's my take on the Cavs. Actually, that's not. I'm not done with the Cavs yet. A lot of people were saying you got to break this team up. Oh, it's done. Blow the team up. I don't agree to that. And the reason why I don't agree is because the person that people were saying move, they're saying move Jared Allen. Jared Allen is making $20 million a year for like the next 2 or 3 years. We're not going to find a big who can get us that much further than what Jared Allen gives us for $20 million. So that's part of the reason I wouldn't break it up. I would definitely have long talks with Jared Allen and say, when the playoffs get here, you got to be okay with, we might not start you every game, and we're going to go series to series, and we're going to adapt based on the series. And you got to accept it, and it's not anything personal, but you've seen championship coaches adapt based on the series that they're in. They might start 2 bigs. They might start 1 big. You've seen Tyronn Lue actually go very small and not even start a big at times because they were trying to throw things off. So I think that's what we should do. And I think Kenny Atchison, don't be afraid to do that. And then also let me speak on Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome, everybody was clowning him. They were down on him. I was down on him. I think that this is going to be a good thing for him in the long run. And then also that full court press, too many times when you know they're pressing you full court, he was never trying to get a running start because he doesn't have the foot speed of some of these guys. And their lateral quickness was too much. And that was another part of the tempo that was killing the Cavs, where Ty Jerome couldn't get the ball past half court. So then we're already behind the 8 ball again once we get into our half court set. You should never be this close to so many 8-second violations in playoff basketball. It shouldn't happen. So you have to start doing something differently. Guys got to start back. The bigs got to come back and set the screen. Evan Mobley got to stay back, set the screen. Set the screen or bring the ball up court. You got to adapt. It shouldn't be an issue getting the ball past half court. So that's my full take, all my takes on the Cavs for now. We might get back to them, another time, maybe later. But shout out to everybody for being here. Shout out to y'all for listening to, my long-winded view of what I think the Cavs could have done better. So we're going to keep making our way along. We're going to get to this next topic. Now we're going to get to the NFL. So remember, like I said, anytime I'm updating the topics, make sure you like the screen, tap the like if you're on TikTok, tap that screen, show me some love, whatever platform you're on, like it. Just let me know that you appreciate, what the information I'm bringing to you on this Saturday night. Next topic is going to be Brock Purdy gets paid. All right, Brock Purdy get paid. He got the bag. 200. Let me adjust this. $265 million. That's gonna kind of cover up my date, but it's okay. Let's go middle. I don't think I have any more that's gonna go across the screen like that, so that's okay. Brock Purdy gets paid. All right, so I have that here. Should be on X. Where are we? Here we go. All right, so Brock Purdy is now top 10 in highest paid QBs on a year-by-year basis. He signed a 5-year, $265 million contract extension. There are a lot of talks that he was going to be in the low 50s. That's the going rate for a quarterback. So we already see that the 49ers are starting to kind of shed some players that actually cost more. They're doing what they have to do. You got that great window of what you can do in the playoffs when you are playing a guy on a rookie deal. Once a guy gets off that rookie deal, you need that quarterback to be real, because they either got to get you to the promised land or they're going to hold you away from the promised land. To me, if Christian McCaffrey is healthy, if Brandon Ayuk is healthy, I think they can get creative enough to find some other guys. Oh, George Kittle signed his extension this year too. I think they still have 3 layers or 3 levels where they can attack the defense. And I think Brock Purdy will be fine. I don't believe in the NFC they're going to be 5 teams better than the 49ers. They're going to be a playoff team this year, I think. And I'm saying that based on health. So I think this is a good thing for Brock Purdy. He gets the money. He was the last pick. So many teams, they're so great at evaluating QB talent. They let him fall all the way down to Mr. Irrelevant. Now he's top 10 in paid. So that's another story. We ain't going to talk about that. But this is good for Brock Purdy. And this is one of those situations, I think, where when people are evaluating quarterbacks, we always hear them say, oh, man, a quarterback has to be Lamar, Josh, or, Pat Mahomes. I don't think so. I think that if you take a quarterback and you develop him and you create this system, you can win. Brock Purdy been in what, 2 Super Bowls? You know what I'm saying? So you can win. You can get there. You can have good years. So I don't think that the only option is you got to get this generational talent. Just go back over the years. It's not always a generational talent at quarterback that wins the Super Bowl. So no, I don't believe in that. I think this is really good for him. I think him making 800-something thousand every year and just what he's done so far, I'm always happy when guys get the bag, especially somebody who brought more value than what he was paid for. I think everybody will agree with that. Even if you don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, you have to agree he definitely outplayed his contract that he had by being the last pick in the draft. You got to agree with that. So I think this is a great thing for him. Brock Purdy is get that bag, $265 million. So I think that's good. Short take on Brock Purdy. Just wanted to shout out to him. He getting to the bag. He's getting that money. And, salute to him for that. So that was pretty quick, but we're going to get to the next segment. Next segment is going to be Caleb Williams. So there's a book that a writer is coming out with. And let me get this adjusted on the screen real quick. Make sure you tap that screen and show me some love whenever I'm updating these topics. All right, sweet, good there. All right, boom, there we go. Where's my... All right, I'm supposed to have an ESPN article. I got it. I'll find it. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second to get this article put up. So I'll start telling you about the story as I get this article put up. So Caleb Williams did not want to play for the Chicago Bears. Coming into the league, he looked at the Chicago Bears as basically like a QB graveyard. And him and his dad were going to do everything in their power to make sure he didn't go to the Bears. Let's get this. Here we go. Boom. All right, I got my article. Let's see. Make sure, all right, y'all can see it. Y'all can see it. All right, so we're going to play this from Mina Kimes, just kind of going over the story. So Caleb Williams' dad, they didn't want him to go to the Bears. It became a big story now. It's kind of weird just coming out now. They actually didn't really say anything publicly, so I think that's really good on their end. And then after, we're going to get to Boomer Esiason and his view of it. To me, his view is off base, but I'll let y'all decide what y'all think. All right, so let's get this played from Mina. Might be an ad here. I don't know.
Liberty.
Yeah,
Liberty Mutual is all she talks about since we saved hundreds by bundling our
going
home
to
and
be
auto
an ad.
insurance.
All right, so if you're going to be listening to this in the
pronounced
podcast format on YouTube, I
Liberty.
will have this
Liberty.
on YouTube scheduled to release 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Now she's
So
mocking
11
me.
a.m. on
Very
Sunday, this will
mature.
be scheduled to
Hey,
release
that's
on
a nephew,
YouTube
too.
in the
Hey, I'm not
podcast
the one
format.
acting like a total
So
baby.
since I do live stream for
too.
long periods of time,
Only pay
you
for
can
what you
listen
need.
to it that way on YouTube for stream.
Liberty.
Let's read and react. We're going to start in Chicago, where new coach Ben Johnson will try to turn things around for Caleb Williams. This is really interesting. ESPN reporter Seth Wickersham goes inside Williams' rookie season in his new book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, including this detail. At times, Williams said he would watch film alone with no instruction or guidance from the coaches. Quote, "No one tells me what to watch," Caleb Williams told his dad. "I just turn it on." There's a lot more to this. You should check out Wickersham's article and book. But Mina, where do things go from here for Caleb?
Hopefully ups. Feels like the only direction they can go after last season's disaster. Seth's article is excellent, by the way. Everybody should go check it out. What is portrayed here, which is quarterback who felt alone and like he didn't get the proper development and circumstances around him and support, is what we saw on the field, Laura, which is why it checks out. Going into the season, there's hope that you bring in Ben Johnson, who's an excellent play caller, improvements on the offensive line. They added skill players in the draft. He'll be in a better situation. But I think the mental side of it is what that quote drives home, and that might be the most important thing.
All right, so that was they kind of went a little bit of touch into it, but let's go down to the article because there are some key points. So Caleb Williams' father said Chicago's a place for quarterbacks to go and die, and this was months before the draft. And then they were not fond of the structure that they had set up in Chicago. They also looked back at history and said, hey, Chicago is not known for developing quarterbacks, keeping quarterbacks. Kind of like I said about a lot of the teams that are drafting quarterbacks this year, not really known for developing quarterbacks and picking the best ones. So these are things. This was also coming off of the Bears taking Mitchell Trubisky, and we know how that turned out. He ended up just being a backup. We saw how they did Justin Fields, how basically they started to tank for Caleb Williams, even though they had Justin Fields. So kind of not putting him in the best situation. So they're looking at that stuff. And Caleb Williams' father told several agents, I don't want my son playing for the Bears. Another key note is, as an underclassman, Caleb Williams still had 1 year of eligibility left in college. And he announced that he was going to enter the draft the last day available for him to announce as an underclassman to enter the draft, which is a key because that also plays into they were looking at every lever that they can pull so he would not end up in Chicago. He at the NFL draft combine, he had met with Minnesota coach Kevin O'Connell. He really wants to go to the Vikings. Basically, they saw it was no path to get him to the Vikings. Caleb Williams' father also spoke with Archie Manning on just kind of seeing if those ways that, he can work around, pull some strings so he wouldn't end up on Chicago. Basically, there was nothing they can do. He was going to Chicago. Chicago GM said, look, it doesn't matter. If you're available, you come out, we're drafting you. So after this happened, his dad still didn't want him to go to Chicago. Caleb Williams said, you know what? I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to be the person that turns it around for the team. I'm going to go to Chicago. That is very important to this entire story. So all it took was Caleb just buying in. His dad fell back once he acknowledged, you know what? I'm going to go there. I'm going to be the quarterback that turns it around. You never heard anything all this season about Caleb Williams not being, prepared or ready, or not being. That's not what I want to say. You never heard about Caleb Williams not being willing to study, learn, or anything like that coming out of this year. So the only reason I think this is weird that this is coming out, but Caleb Williams ended up being right. They got rid of the coach, Eberflus. They ended up getting Ben Johnson coming over from the Detroit Lions. He's an offensive guru. They've definitely loaded up on putting talent around Caleb Williams. So I thought it was odd that this was coming out, but the only reason why we're hearing this is because there is a ESPN reporter who's putting out a book, and The Art of the Quarterback, I believe is the name of it. That's the only reason why we heard this story. So it's very important, the reason why we actually heard this story. Caleb didn't come out and say this. His dad didn't come out and say this. Nobody even knew it went to this far. They even went to lengths of they were going to try to sue the NFL based on the CBA. They were saying we're going to sign in the UFL. They said all these different routes they were going to take. None of us heard about this until they were putting this book out. Now, you probably are wondering why it's important or why I'm making a big deal about how none of this was going to come out. The reason why I'm making a big deal about it is because we have Boomer Esiason. Again, Boomer Esiason. We covered some things that he said leading into or after Shedeur slid in the draft. He is opinionated. One thing I would say is I usually don't agree with his opinion. Hey, it's no other way. It's no other way you can put it. I usually don't agree with him. All right, but we're going to play it. Let's get it. We're going to play it.
Think about this. I think a lot of these kids and their parents are nowadays.
Okay. I got to get y'all some volume, and I usually play everything on speed, on chipmunk speed, but he's talking pretty fast, so chipmunk speed is going to be too much. So let's get this restarted. This is his take on Caleb Williams. Now, mind you, remember everything I said. We didn't hear about this based on Caleb Williams saying anything in the public. Not his dad saying anything in the public. We only heard about this because the writer is putting a book out about this. That's the reason why we heard about it. I don't think they gave him the memo.
When you think about this, I think a lot of these kids and their parents are nowadays, and that the level of entitlement is breathtaking. And it's no wonder why he failed initially, and it's no wonder why the coach got fired. So now they go out and get an offensive coach in Ben Johnson, and you know what? Now it's on his ass. It's going to be on his ass to live up to these so-called lofty expectations that he has for himself and that his father has for his son. And I understand, that there could be a discussion, hey, this is where quarterbacks go to die. Well, go fix it. Be the reason that the team is going to turn it around and you be the player that you think you are. And I would just tell them, just keep your mouth shut. You're going into the greatest league that there's ever been for the sport that we all love. You're going to have a chance one day to make $500 million because guys like me and guys before me all went on strike so you could actually make more money. So keep your pie hole shut and go out and play football and earn your keep and earn your respect.
You get that microphone back on. That's a losing take for me. And the reason why it's a losing take is because we didn't hear about any of this stuff coming from Caleb. We heard about this stuff coming from the reporter who's putting out a book. And they want to, when you're trying to sell a book, you want to talk about the most, I think the word is salacious topics that you have in that book to drive up interest. And this is one of those times where it's like, old man, be quiet. If we heard about these things last year, if we heard about these things pre-draft, if we heard about these things then, everything he said was valid. Since we are a year removed from this situation, what he says is not valid. It's not valid. And I'm not one of those people who says you can't have an opinion. You can certainly have an opinion. But on the flip side of that, I don't have to agree with your opinion. And I don't agree with his opinion. That's all it is. It's nothing personal. It's no beef. None of those things. It's just I don't have to agree with you just because you have an opinion. And his opinion is wrong. His opinion is more to the level of just old man, get off my grass type thing. Just shut up and go play. And this is the thing. that I don't understand about people who cover sports. So in all their coverage of sports, what they do is they say you should be so happy to just get drafted into the NFL. But at the same time, they act like where you get drafted, the team you get drafted to, the leadership in place of that team has no impact on your success in the NFL. If that wouldn't be a thing, then I would say just go play. But when there's so many things that impact if you're going to have success in the NFL, then they got the right to feel how they want to feel. They never made it public. So since they didn't make it public, I can't listen to what he's saying. Especially when all we're going to do is critique these guys and call them losers. They put up his stats. Excuse me. They put up his stats. They also put up his win-loss record. What does his win-loss record have to do with this situation when everybody knows that he went into a dysfunctional situation? It was reported. He's telling his dad, shout out to you, Jordan. When I'm going to study, I'm just studying on my own. Where's the development? So Boomer Esiason just saying, hey, just go shut up and play. But he's saying, I want to get better. I want to learn. And there's nobody there. And then at the same time, you put up his season's record. So which one is it? Is it go shut up and play and whatever happens with your record doesn't matter? Or is it your record matters and where you end up, if it's dysfunction, then you should be able to have an opinion on if you believe this dysfunction can hold you back. Because that's clearly what happened. That's clearly what it was. I think, let me say this. People think that I'm always caping for this player or that player. The reason why I started this is because I wanted to bring a different viewpoint to the coverage of sports. And this is one of those situations where the same media that builds you up pre-draft tears you down after your rookie year, even though they know you're going to a terrible team. That's why you end up being the number one overall pick. Then critique how well you do after 1 year. The same people build you up, tear you down just to tell the story of how they build you up and tore you down. And then they rinse and repeat and they do the same thing every year. I got an issue with that. You need more voices coming out who are saying, hey, if anything, we should give these guys, rookies, we should hold off. We should not speak on rookies until 2 or 3 years into the league. Give us some time to grow and develop it. Then speak on it and say, okay, this person, I don't think they're going to make it. But that's not what the media wants to do. I have an issue when people basically tell you, shut up and dribble if I don't agree with what you're saying. Because that's not how I am. That's one of the reasons why I'm even adding the segment, the comment creeping, where I'm going to go over to what people say in my comments, because I'm open to having a conversation. I'm open to having every person that watches me, every person that comments on my stuff. You don't have to agree with my stance. I can have a conversation with you. I'm not the person that just, we don't agree, so we don't need to talk. No, you actually learn a lot from seeing things through different lenses. In the end, you still don't have to, you can still disagree, but it doesn't hurt you from seeing it through a different lens, I want to say. So that was that. Boomer Esiason. That's just old man get off my grass talk. So that's the Caleb Williams thing. Another thing, last thing I'll say on Caleb Williams. The way owners felt slighted by Coach Prime saying he wanted to determine where Shedeur went, and they took it so bad. I wonder how they're going to respond when all this stuff comes out about him not wanting to go and all the lengths they were willing to take. They wanted to sue. Coach Prime ain't never said nothing. I'm about to sue the Players Association. None of that stuff. So, also in that book, his dad says the CBA that the player signed is one of the worst contracts he's ever seen that people would sign in history. So I wonder how they're going to speak on this. Are they going to go at him the same way they was going at Coach Prime? I don't think so, but we're just putting that out there. Let's see what we got coming up next on the next topic. just wanted to shed some light on that Caleb Williams situation, because I definitely think that it's going to turn out totally different. Let me get my stuff organized for y'all. I'm gonna get this thing organized, and then also going into our next topic. Here we go. Going into our next topic. I know that there is a lot of interest in the Browns. I'm not a fool. I understand that. This is before we get to the Shedeur stuff. I understand that. And I know that people are just scrambling and scraping, trying to find, where can I go to get coverage on the Browns? Where can I go? Go wherever you want to go. But I'll tell you some situations or tell you about some things that you should categorize people in certain, not categorize, that's the wrong word. You should think about how you look at what certain people say. So since there's so many people covering the Browns, a lot of people, they see a person's name and they're running and they're saying, this person said this, so it's the law. They usually don't know enough about that person to even say it's the law. And the example that we're going to use is Mary Kay Cabot. The reason why we're going to use this example is I don't got no beef with Mary Kay. I think Mary Kay is great as a reporter. She's actually a Hall of Fame reporter. And I'm not just making that up. She really is. She's a Hall of Fame reporter. I would not say she's a Hall of Fame analyst. And a lot of these channels who are just coming up on the Shedeur hype, they're using Mary Kay to justify their view of how Shedeur is doing so far. And I'm just going to show you something that I spoke about a couple months ago based on something Mary Kay said. And then you tell me if this is a person you think you should go to for analysis. And then also, let me say this. Let me riff. Let me talk a little bit. Let me talk a little bit. Two times tonight, I'm actually going to pat myself on the back. And I'm one of those people where if I say something that is wrong, I'm perfectly fine with you coming at me saying, hey, you're wrong. I'll give you an example. I'll even tell you something that you can come at me in my comments about that I was 100% wrong about. I said the Boston Celtics would beat the New York Knicks in 5 games. I said the New York Knicks had no shot at beating the Boston Celtics. I was 100% wrong. I might even clip this and make this a TikTok video so y'all can really roast me, because I'm perfectly fine with that. Y'all can roast me when I come out here and I say stuff and I'm wrong. But y'all want to know what I'm going to do? If I come out here and I say something that's right, oh, you best believe y'all going to have to hear from your boy. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk. 2 times tonight, I'm just warning y'all. 2 times tonight, I'm going to pat myself on the back. This is the first one. So, like I said, I don't got no beef with Mary Kay. Mary Kay is a Hall of Fame reporter. I would not use Mary Kay as my go-to for analysis when it comes to player or NFL. And I'm not just going to say this without giving you a legit reason why. So a lot of people, they don't give you quantifiable things. I'm going to give you something quantifiable and a reason why I'm saying this. So on the screen, you see Offtharecorddee. This is my YouTube channel. If you enjoy what I do, if you appreciate what I do, if you are one of the people that show me so much love that I've been getting on TikTok, definitely tap in with me on my YouTube channel. Definitely trying to grow my YouTube channel, trying to expand this thing. I want to work my way up to being your go-to person when you look for breakdowns on Cleveland sports and topics alike. So I want to be that person, but I'm not telling you just put me in that category. I'm saying let me work my way up to be that person that you look at that way based on what I do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I got a video. Let me see. Did I pull it up for y'all already? Okay. I got it right here. So I'm going to scroll down so y'all can see it. This is me. I put this out a month ago. This is a month ago. I put this out a month ago as a clip, but this same clip came from a long form stream that I did. This was probably maybe a month and a half ago, It had to be. On here, you can even see in my background, I was at my old desk, and then you see my memorabilia in the background, which I don't have anymore because I'm trying to work out what I'm going to do back there. So you see. So I just wanted to show you all this. So remember, this is about reasons why I wouldn't necessarily go to Mary Kay for analysis. Let's get it. Let's make sure I got the volume up for y'all. I've been having to adjust the volume a decent amount of times. I guess fair use to myself, use my own video.
Also going to think that I'm nuts, but I'm doing.
All right, I don't think that's loud enough, so let me adjust this over here. I want to make sure y'all can actually hear this. So we're going to turn this up here, and we're going to start this over. Actually, we don't got to start over because she just get into it. So this is Mary Kay. This is what she would do if she was the GM for the Browns going into this year's draft. Let's go.
Doing it, okay? I'm putting on my GM cap today, and I'm going to make a trade, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm taking Shedeur at number 2. I'm going to do the obvious right thing there. I'm going to take Shedeur, and I'm going to roll with it and see how it goes. But then I'm trading back into the end of the first round with my second round pick and some other things, and I'm taking Tyler Shuck. In the first round, I'm taking 2 quarterbacks in the first round, okay? 2.
That was my response when I saw that. When I covered that, I didn't think it was real. I thought when I saw that on X, I thought it was a joke. But she was serious. Even on another show, she actually spoke on her feeling this way. So I'm going to recap it, what she said. She would have took Shedeur at number 2. Then she would have used more draft capital to trade back into the first round to take Tyler Shuck in the first round. She would have took 2 quarterbacks in the first round. This is a sweet lady, but she can't make GM decisions for how my team is ran. If you take the quarterback at number 2, the next thing you do with those remaining picks is you build up a better team around that quarterback. If you can't make the decision on which quarterback you like more between the 2, you don't take either one of them because you don't like either one of them enough to start building around them. Remember, this is not a diss. I don't diss people. This is just to show why I wouldn't go to her for NFL analysis. I would go to, I like Mary Kay. I follow Mary Kay on X. Mary Kay is really good at when it comes to the injury report, when it comes to news that the team wants to get out. She's a great follow for that. I follow her for those things. I don't follow her to determine, is this quarterback good? Is this quarterback bad? That's not what I follow her for, because we have things like this. If a GM actually did this GM would probably be fired before they were able to finish that draft. You would take Shedeur number 2, and then you would use more draft capital to trade back into the first round. So look at a team like the Atlanta Falcons. For the Atlanta Falcons to trade back into the first round, they gave up a first round pick next year to go get Tyler Shuck, who ended up dropping all the way to pick 40. This is not the person I want running my team. This is not the person I want making NFL decisions for me. And remember, this is not a diss. This is just that logic, that decision making I can't get with. I can't get with it. So the reason why I showed y'all this is because you have a lot of people who want to get in on the Shedeur hype and cover all things Cleveland Browns now that Shedeur is here, and they are using Mary Kay's analysis to justify them feeling good or feeling bad about Shedeur. And I just wanted to show y'all because I know my viewership is going up, and I know there are more people who are tapping in, and I greatly appreciate y'all. And I told y'all I want to be that go-to person, but I want to work my way into being that go-to person, not just somebody stamp me as the go-to person without y'all seeing that, you know, I'm giving you valuable information and I'm shining a light on things from a different perspective than other people. So I just wanted to show y'all that because there's actually a person, who responded, and this is what gave me the idea of the comment creeping Let me find this post. Let's see. So I have another video when I'm used for myself. It's
They
kind
did
of
not
funny.
intend to draft.
Whoops. And there's a person who commented on my post, and they gave me the idea for comment creeping. Actually, let's do this. So let me dig through and find this on my screen real quick. So give me just a second here. So whatever platform, anytime I'm changing or updating things, make sure you just tap the screen. You like whatever platform you on. I want to find this for you. Which one was it? I got to find this post that actually gave me the idea for comment creeping. Okay, I found it. I found it. Let me get this back up. Okay, so you can see it. All right, so this is Amber. Shout out to Amber. She commented on one of my videos, and this is what she said. She said, if he showed anger, they would have been saying he hasn't learned, he blames others. They're always moving the goalposts. They want him to act like Josh Rosen so they can say they attack him. So this was the person that actually gave me the idea for doing the comment creeping, because, I agree with her comment, and it was actually part of the story where I was speaking on when Florio and Sims said the Shedeur wasn't mad enough that he slid to pick 144. So I just wanted to tie that all together for y'all. So remember, that wasn't a diss. That wasn't a knock on Mary Kay. That was just a reason why me personally, I wouldn't follow her for the analysis side of things. And I just noticed, since there's so many new people, I definitely want to show that to y'all. So now let's move this thing forward and let's go to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Legendary himself, Shedeur Sanders, and his coverage this week. And I know this is why everybody's here. I know this is why everybody taps in. We're just going to call this Shedeur Sanders. This is going to be his section of the show. And I have some good things for y'all. So if you see part of the title is the media is finally asking why Shedeur fell to the 5th round. And I got a couple videos that we're going to use to back this up. Now, remember I told you I was 2 times I'm going to pat myself on the back. I'm going to take that victory lap. So this week, let me get this right. Not that one, not that one, not that one. That's mine. I got a lot of stuff. Okay, good. All right, so this week is funny. It's very hard to find this on YouTube. ESPN, they've been putting out so much stuff, especially, all the topics pertaining to Shedeur. Usually you could just go find them wherever. And this clip, it happened. I saw it happen live, but I couldn't find it anywhere on YouTube, and I had to find other people who actually found it to use this clip when they're speaking on why Shedeur fell, and they're speaking on why would he go or not go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I don't know how long some newer people have been following me, but I actually said it a couple weeks ago that it was no chance that Shedeur was going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, any pick, any round. And I said it just like that. It didn't really get that much traction on my page. I was kind of surprised because I was like, that's big news. But this happened this week. And now more people are starting to see and hear from Shedeur, they're starting to ask the questions. And now everything is being questioned. So we're going to get this. This is going to start off with Mike Tomlin speaking. Then it's going to cut to ESPN First Take. And then I want y'all to listen to what Ryan Clark and Stephen A are going to say. So also, fair use for all the videos I'm using tonight. Fair use for all the videos. Shout out to the content creators. I appreciate y'all for allowing me to use y'all stuff. Fair use. All right, so let's go.
Intangible qualities displayed on tape were impressive to me.
I think there needs to be an investigation as to why they didn't draft a quarterback. How you don't draft a Shedeur Sanders? How you don't do that? Knowing how debilitated you are at the quarterback position spanning years. I'm not saying you didn't draft the quarterback at all. I know they drafted the quarterback, but I'm talking about Shedeur Sanders. I'm talking about somebody early in the first 2 rounds.
Here's what I can tell you about the draft. If he would have fallen to the 7th round,
right,
the Steelers weren't drafting Shedeur Sanders.
Why?
Why?
Shedeur Sanders was not going to be picked by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whatever the evaluation was, whatever decision was made, he was not going to be the quarterback picked, drafted, called by Mike Tomlin.
Because of talent or because the hoopla they felt like that came with it?
That's breaking news.
That was not going to
That's
happen.
breaking news, and here's why.
So Stephen A. Smith is like, man, that's breaking news. He said, no pick. No matter the pick, the 7th round, Shedeur wasn't going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing this kind of gain some steam and some traction. And I'm like, I thought everybody knew that already. Y'all didn't tap in? Y'all didn't watch my videos? Come on, man. So now we got to go back. This is 12 days ago. Let's scroll down so y'all can see it. Y'all see it right here. 12 days ago, I did this live. The title of this live was Don't Believe the Lies. And I was breaking down how it's certain lies that are always told to NFL fans. And the first lie is teams will always select a player if they feel like he can help them. That was the first lie they told us. The second lie they tell us is they know what they're doing when it comes to evaluating talent. Those are 2 lies. That was the whole basis around that entire episode. Of course, I did have some things in there with Shedeur. So I said this, and I mean, I watched this, and let me get this quality up. We definitely not going to be in no 144. All right, that's way better. So I said this, and I thought this was news. I thought everybody knew it. I broke down. I found this out weeks ago. So yeah, I thought everybody knew this, but I guess everybody didn't know. Also, I got timestamps since I do long streams. So if you do go jump on my YouTube and you want to find a particular story that I'm talking about on the live stream, once it gets posted as a video there, I got timestamps for y'all too. So, hey, y'all have been motivating me to do better, go harder, especially with all the engagement I've been getting on TikTok, the love I've been getting on TikTok, the followers I've been getting on TikTok. So y'all motivated me to do better and keep going and make this thing bigger, and that's what I'm going to do. But back to it. This is me 12 days ago. I'm going to show you this portion of the screen because this is the part you really need to know and hear. Here we go.
Draft him. If he was there on the 6th round and maybe.
Hold on. Oh, that's normal speed. Okay. Just making sure I didn't have that too. I just want to make sure I didn't have it too going too fast for y'all. But here we go. Let's play it.
I can't tell you where he was in a pecking order, Rich.
Now, this is, I believe it's a beat writer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Y'all know I watch everything on Chipmunk Mode. We're going to speed them up. Because now we're going to do some process of elimination, and we're going to show you how these teams are lying when they tell you they'll take a player if he can help them win. So let's go.
But I will tell you, despite what all the national people thought, they did not intend to draft him. If he was there on the 6th round, and maybe, but, the people that had him going to the Steelers and had him going at 21, that just wasn't going to happen. No quarterback was going at 21. That includes Jackson Dart, who they did have a first-round grade on. But I don't think he factored in, and you could see how many times they passed on him. If they were going to take him, they would have tried to take him in the 4th round. Well, but it wasn't high on their list.
Well, I mean, they had 3 shots to draft him, and the 2nd-round pick, they essentially drafted DK Metcalf. And paid him like a superstar wide receiver that they hope he will continue to be in Pittsburgh. But why was Shedeur not even a first 5-round consideration, do you think, if he was available? He wasn't available by the time that they had Y.A. Black out there to select in the 5th round. He was gone by then. But what's your reporting on why the Steelers didn't have Shedeur as high as everybody thought?
Well, Rich, I can't tell you specifically why, but I could just tell you there were other quarterbacks that they were more interested in the middle to late rounds. As I said, they like Jackson Dart, but when he went, now if he was there in the 3rd round, which I didn't expect, I don't think they did either, because they had a first-round grade on him. But they had other quarterbacks in the middle of the round that they thought that they might be interested in. But the quarterback was not going to be a priority. And I believe we talked about this last time. They are all in 2026 on moving up and trying to get what they believe to be their next franchise quarterback, or certainly their starter for a number of years. And so I think their plan all along has been geared that way. And I can't speak. I know obviously the Steelers thought, he had a nice skill set and everything, but I never got the impression that he was high on their list to draft, Rich.
So
at any point.
At any point in the draft, you're saying that Shedeur Sanders was not going to be a Steeler, best to your knowledge?
Best to my knowledge, that is correct.
So
y'all hear that? Hey, I did my best to let that whole thing play out just so y'all can hear it. So best of his knowledge, at any point, the Steelers were not going to take Shedeur. All right, so y'all see it. This is me 12 days ago. This is me finding this information out, and this is me bringing it to y'all and let y'all know that, Shedeur wasn't going to the Steelers. So now Stephen A is saying, oh, man, they need to be investigated and this. And, this is one of those situations where my first instinct is to ask questions. I'm always asking questions like, okay, all right, well, why wouldn't he be available for the Steelers? Why would he, no matter the pick, would they be willing to take him? Because then you have conflicting things that they tell us. So that's why I said prior to this, the lie that they always tell us is, if you can help their team, they'll take you. That's not true. That's not true. In that episode where I said don't believe the lies, I narrowed it down 4 teams that weren't taking Shedeur. 4 teams. Shedeur was not on their board regardless of the pick. They wouldn't have took Shedeur in the 7th round. He was not on their board. Steelers. I guess now that Ryan Clark said it, everybody believe it, but he wasn't going to the Steelers. He wasn't going. So that just shows me that they will get out there and lie in your face. And you'll have people in the comments, you'll have people in the chats. Oh, it's the pre-draft. Oh, it was the pre-draft interviews. The pre-draft interviews were so bad. That's the reason why he couldn't go nowhere. Oh, the pre-draft interviews, he blew. So you telling me he blew all the pre-draft interviews? Mike Tomlin didn't say nothing negative about him. The Browns didn't say nothing negative about him. They're the ones who end up drafting him. Now this stuff is coming out. See, I question things first. I don't question things last. They go through all this stuff, and then now you have, last week I showed y'all, Nick Wright is questioning. Dang, every time I hear from Shedeur, I don't understand the pre-draft interview thing. Now you got Stephen A. They need to be investigated. Why weren't they going to take him? Again, I don't think it was collusion. I think it was groupthink, and I think they just put an X through his name on the board and said, we're not selecting him regardless. But that is in conflict with they will take someone if they can help him. So when you see people and they're just commenting these same things, they're just training y'all to believe the lies. Why is Stephen A acting so shocked? Now we know why Mel Kiper was flipping out. Now we know. See, I'm not a person with a short memory. I have a long memory, and I can recall and go back to situations when something just seems off, and the Shedeur situation just was off. At worst case scenario, a lot of people said he had a 1st or a 2nd round grade. They said he was the top. Everybody said he was at least the top 3 quarterback in this draft class. Nobody said he had a 5th round grade. Nobody said he only had the potential as a backup prior to the draft. Nobody said none of these things. So immediately I start asking questions. Like a lot of things, when you are the person that's willing to stand out in front of the crowd and say something, the first thing people do is shout you down and call you a liar. 3 weeks later, they start saying, dang, how did I not see it when you saw it? And that's what's happening right here with Stephen A. So those are the 2 times where I'm just going to pat myself on the back and say, hey, I'm doing my best to bring you the best information, give you the best breakdowns when it comes to things regarding the Cleveland Browns. And I just want to work my way up to be that person that you say, you know what? If nothing else, he's going to give us a logical, concise breakdown of why he feels how he feels. And hopefully, that resonates with y'all. And y'all say, you know what? For that, I'm going to tap into his lives. I'm going to follow him on TikTok. I'm going to, tap into his YouTube, because I'm putting in the work. So just wanted to pat myself on the back there. Hey, it's a hard job, but somebody got to do it. I got y'all. Let's get to it. So moving along in the Shedeur situation. Now we have, yeah, that's where we're going to go. So now let me catch y'all up when it comes to what we're going to go over next. So now we're going to cover a former NFL GM, he's going to tell you about his failures. He's going to tell you about his mishaps in drafting, and then he's going to tell you what grade he had on Shedeur. And now he currently works as a consultant. He works for teams. He was actually working for the Browns, and he was part of the group that told them that they should draft Baker Mayfield. So we got him on the Pac-Man Jones show, Politically Raw. We're going to see his name is Scott McClogan. I believe that's how you pronounce it. My bad, Scott. I'm not trying to, mess up your name. So we got this video from him. After we get that video from him, we're going to get to Shedeur did an interview with the Browns. Actually, no, we're going to save that one. We're going to get to him. Then he's going to talk to ESPN in Cleveland. Then we actually got Joe Bitonio. He's one of the leaders on the Cleveland Browns. He's a guard for the Browns. He's going to speak on his interactions with Shedeur Sanders so far. So stay tuned. I got y'all. We're bringing this good insight. We bring you information so you can have knowledge on the situation regarding Shedeur, all things Cleveland Browns, and we bring it to you from a different perspective. So hopefully y'all enjoy this. Let's go.
Hello world, welcome back on this. What Tuesday is it? Tap In Tuesdays on the Pac-Man Jones show. My boy Ev in the building. Shout out to my team at BetOnline. Our next guest, he's a good evaluator. Maybe one of the best. He come up on the famous and legendary GM Ron Wolf out in Green Bay, who made that infamous trade for Brett Favre. Y'all know who I'm talking about. This guy right here actually chose Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers, which is a very questionable thing that I have on my board when we get into these decisions. But talking to all the coaches, all NIL deals, this is the guru behind the scene, a friend of the program, one of my favorites, Scott McLean. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, partner. Thank you for asking.
I forgot to say,
really good.
GM of the 49ers and the Washington Redskins. What's going on, man? How you doing? First and foremost.
I'm doing excellent. The draft's over, and I'm already started working on next year, guys. I got a lot of work going on.
Before I ask you about all that, how in the hell did you pick Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers?
Because of personality.
Personality?
Alex was 20, and I knew he had upside. I knew for a fact. I knew he never called a play in college or in high school or in junior high. His dad was his head coach. Just a quality person with a lot of talent. Aaron had more talent coming out.
All right, so I'm just going to pause this real quick, and then we're going to let him get back to it. I want y'all to hear. Pac-Man asked him the first question, why did you take Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers? We know how their careers went. He said personality. Personality. Let's keep going.
But Aaron would not fit our locker room.
Yeah.
And it was my first year there. We had the first pick in the draft, and I knew I had to build quality people before I built quality players. I had to get the culture right. And that's that. And when it's all said and done, that's what he did.
Yeah.
Speaking of
when you making
I
didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, looking back, hindsight, of course, I would have taken Aaron with his career. I mean, the guy is first ballot Hall of Famer. But I tell you what we built in San Fran, part of it is because of Alex Smith and his personality and the players I drafted. I wanted legit, solid, smart sons and guns. Don't get me wrong, I took some bad guys, which I'm fine with. But with Aaron, I'll never forget, we went to dinner, and it was me and Coach Nolan, the head coach, Mike Nolan, and sat down with him and his agent. And he got up, he called him by his first name and slapped him on his ass, the head coach. I'm like, you don't do that shit, dude. I get it. He was cocky. I get it. He as you've seen it play out, he wears people out all over the place. But he's still talented. You know.
So
I'm gonna do a quick pause right here. Hopefully y'all heard that. So this is one of those situations where you can hear something as small as Aaron Rodgers calling the head coach by his first name, not calling him coach, and smacking him on the butt as he got up from the table is a reason why Aaron Rodgers, first ballot Hall of Famer, fell in the draft. So when a lot of people, when they're saying, oh man, these terrible interviews by Shedeur, it don't even really have to be a terrible interview. Something that small was the reason why Aaron Rodgers fell. And remember, it was everybody saying, dang, when is he going to get drafted? When is he going to be drafted? So it could be something small. It doesn't have to be something major. It doesn't have to be a major reason why these guys actually fall in the draft. So actually, I'm going to pull something up. I'm going to play this. I'm going to let this keep playing, but I'm going to pull something up because it just made me think of something.
So how do you do that? So is it character over talent, or is it like this talent is way up here and the character is so bad? Like when you're building an organization, how did you approach it in your way?
Well, the thing about it is talent's the most important, hands down. You know, you got to, as you're well aware, you've been around, you can watch a guy one practice, two practices and realize this guy can frickin', he's got it. But then you got to figure out the it factor. Who's the person? How's he going to affect the locker room? How, you know, is he going to go from, you know, good to special to great, or is he always going to be just good? You know, and I think, you know, like I said, the talent, simple. I mean, I can sit with my wife and watch a game and she'd be like, he's the best player in the field.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, of course. But then you got to figure out what's the inside him. What's the it factor that makes him be special? And I had 2 first-round picks in my career that I missed on. And I completely busted on.
Who would
Not
it be?
completely, but it was Kent Balmer out of North Carolina. I took in San Fran, and then Dotson, who I took with the Redskins at the time, the Commanders now, but the Redskins at the time. I never met them face to face, ever. You know, so I relied on my area scouts, you know, and my director, and they're like, he's a great guy. He loves football. He loves this, and this. If you don't have passion for it, if you're not going to show up every day to be the best of the best, I don't want you. I don't care if you're a 7th-round pick or you're a 1st-round pick. I don't care if you're an undrafted free agent. You got to show up and show out, plain and simple. As you're well aware, you played a long time.
Yeah.
The good players show up every day.
Yeah, and you drafted a lot of good ones too, though. Like Frank Gore is one of my favorite running backs. He would just, he is a punisher, and like he ended up playing a decade. So that was Patrick Willis, linebacker, 2007. You drafted also. So I'm pretty much in on the philosophy.
All right, so I'm just going to pause this real quick. So just going back to 2005, I've been a Cleveland Browns fan my whole life. 2005, the Cleveland Browns, we took Braylon Edwards out of Michigan in 2005, number 3 overall. The Browns needed a quarterback since we've been back in the league since 99. We passed on Aaron Rodgers. We passed on Aaron Rodgers in 2005 for a wide receiver. So this shows you that it can be something very small, could be the reason why a team passes up on a player, and we try to make it out like it's just major thing, like, oh man, they had to do something crazy disrespectful or something like that. And that's not the case. You know, it's a lot of times that a lot of good players came out and they got passed up on. I'm looking at this. DeMarcus Ware in 2005, DeMarcus Ware went number 11 to Dallas. He's a Hall of Famer. So 10 teams passed up. I mean, you know, the teams before that passed up on him. So this is just one of those situations where we want concrete, solid, super solid answers on why, you know, teams are passing up on guys or why these situations happens. Sometimes it's very small and it's a lot of groupthink, And then you put that together, and then you got a guy who falls way further than they should. So, but I like the fact that he actually admitted to his mistakes, and he actually said the reason why he felt those mistakes. He never met the guys in person. So, usually we don't get this other side of, former GMs speaking on, what their issues were. So here we go. I believe now he's going to get to Shedeur's situation. Fair use.
Of what you're saying. When you're breaking down these quarterbacks in different positions, like right now in college, what exactly is that what are you looking for? Are you looking for the guy to check out a cover 2, cover 3? Right now you just said you draft a quarterback that never called any plays. So I'm like, what is your mindset when you're looking at these guys?
You know what I'll do first, Pac-Man? I will nowadays with technology, I'll watch every third down play during the season and just see how they respond. And see who's successful and not successful. First and second down, I get it. Running play, whatever. And that's cool. I'll go back and watch that stuff too. But I break down the third downs, especially in the fourth quarter, in their down, and just see who responds. And I think that tells you a lot about the individual. A lot.
Yeah. You're doing a lot of scouting these days. What's your company?
The name of my company's Instinctive Scouting, but I work for multiple teams. I can't say who they are. I got a confidentiality contract.
Yeah.
But it's called Instinctive Scouting. Yeah, and I do a lot of work for agents. And like I said earlier, before we got on air, I do a lot for agents and the NIL stuff. And because once they get them locked into NIL, if they sign contracts with the agent, they're thinking they're going to be able to get him for the NFL contract too. Yeah.
That make a lot.
And and I got one agent that's big time, probably the biggest ones, and he's like, I could destroy this agency business if I wanted to, just by signing NIL stuff. And he said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let them have them.
Yeah, the NIL
which I mean, we're talking $1.5 million, $2.5 million. It's out of control.
Scott, I got a question for you, man. You've been doing this a long time. You've evaluated some of the best and worst quarterbacks in the last 20, 30 years. So my question for you, you know where this is going. Before the draft, everybody heard Shedeur Sanders, first round pick, has the talent, all this stuff, drops to the 5th round. In your professional, experienced opinion, why do you think he fell so far?
And what was your grade? And what was your grade on him too? I want to know that. What was your grade on him?
I gave him a first. I think he'll be the best quarterback out of this draft. When it's all said and done. When his career's said and done, he'll be the best quarterback taken in this draft. We did the same.
All right, so that's a mic drop right there. So we got to hear his failures. We got to hear his wins. We got to hear insight. We got to hear all these different things about him and what he goes through when he's evaluating these quarterbacks. He also said he watches every third down play, which makes a lot of sense. He watches all the fourth quarters, which makes a lot of sense because you're really getting the mentality of a player. And then also he thinks Shedeur's going to go down as the best quarterback out of his draft class. So, this is somebody who's in the business, who's actively doing this. And a lot of the stuff that I do when I break down situations or I break down what people in the media are saying, one thing I noticed that in the media during this draft cycle, this is the first draft cycle I really paid attention to really closely. I noticed that a lot of these analysts on TV never looked at these guys' film. They just repeated what they heard somebody else say. And I'm even seeing that more as I really break down situations. We look at Bitonio, he's repeating stories. We look at Nick Wright, he was repeating stories. Now they're kind of doing a mind melt where they're trying to figure out what's the truth, what's the lies. So when you have somebody who's actually in this and he gets paid to do this, he got NDAs from, current NFL teams. He's hired by agents. I'm gonna put some weight on what he's saying. You always gotta look at how can we quantify if this person has credibility, he has history in the job, and he's still getting paid to do this. So we're gonna let him finish up right here, and then he spoke to a couple of different. He spoke to ESPN Cleveland, the radio station. So I got some clips from him as well on there too, where he's going to go into more Brown specific things. So here we go. Let's let him live.
Same thing in Seattle with Russell Wilson. You know, everybody's like, he's too short. He's this, that, and that. Fuck, we went back-to-back Super Bowls. Won one, lost one, but whatever. But, you know, I think, and I hate to say this because I don't know his father personally. I really don't. But I think the shit show to come with them from the standpoint of media, and Cleveland's going to get it. I mean, why would they draft the quarterback in the third and wait for Shedeur to the fifth? You know, because Shedeur, I've seen
because
Shedeur
they have a horrible fucking GM. That's why.
Well,
he fucking suck. He fucking bro.
Old
tackle.
But I'm just saying.
I'm gonna say nose guard, fifth pick overall. Oh my God! Don't get me started. Go ahead.
I'm telling you, I think Shedeur, honestly, and I've done a lot of quarterbacks in my career, and no one's ever 100% accurate. It's not an exact science. That's why there's so many busts. But I'm telling you, Shedeur, I saw him. I was on the sideline watching the game in person, and he jumped Travis Hunter's ass like you wouldn't believe. Had his finger in his face. He says, "Don't you ever throw your arms up in the air like that again. If I miss a throw, I miss a throw." And Travis Hunter bowed down to him. That kind of shows what kind of leadership he has. He has enough respect and enough toughness and competitiveness to do that. And I'm like, wow, this guy is pretty freaking cool. You know, and I get it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go finish. Go ahead, finish. My bad.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, just watch his response, and Pac-Man, you know this. Watch his response every time he came off the field and how he got with the offensive linemen, how he got with the running backs, how he got with the receivers. And he just ran the show. He ran the complete show. And, you know, he's not as athletic as his father, of course. No one really is. But he has the demeanor to be an NFL football player. And I'm telling you, you wait and see. I can't tell you that, but in my opinion, that he will be the best quarterback out of this draft when it's all said and done.
And we're going to mark it on this day right here. I'm saying he will be the Tom Brady of this era. That means being drafted late, all of that. Being 144th pick overall. I think he can take this because really, you know, a lot of people look at the outside and don't look at the inside of the person. Now, I've been on the other end where I just like to fight, and I would fight people, but I was the nicest person in the world unless you just fuck with me, and then it's just off and on switch. You know what I mean? And
that's still true to this day. I can attest that's still true to this day right now.
Oh, speaking of that, hey, guess what? All my charges got dropped in Dallas too. I'm in the.
All right, so. Pac-Man is funny. He's funny. So I wanted to show you all that clip because we are hearing so much stuff from anonymous people. I wanted to start putting a picture to the person, and they are stamping it with their name. They're stamping it with their reputation, and those are the people I can respect. I always respect the person who's willing to go out on a limb and put his name out there, face out there, and stamp it to something because that means they stand for something. You know, I had a response to somebody on TikTok, and I said it's two types of people. It's the people who are willing to put their name out there and put their word out there, and then there's the people who hide behind the screen and they criticize. And I asked the person, which one are you? So I'm always going to hold a person in a higher regard who's willing to put their name out there because that's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to put my name out there. I'm willing to pick on a series. I'm willing to pick a player to say, I think this player could be this, this, and this. So I always have respect for people who do it that way because I think the other way is you can have hindsight is 20/20. It's a reason why that will never go away because when you don't have to make the decision in the moment, you can always find the flaws in how a person made a decision, but you will never be in that spot to make that decision. So I wanted to show you all the person, and now we're going to get to, I got some clips from him speaking to ESPN Cleveland. Let me pause
that video of you walk.
We're going to get that Shedeur interview going, but next we have, let's see, here and here. All right, so next we're going to go through. So I got a couple clips that we're going to play. This is the first one. I'm going to play this one first. I'm a Browns fan. I want whoever starts at quarterback to have
actually sounds very
success.
similar to some of the traits.
I actually want to, whoever our quarterback is going to be, I want them to have success. You know, I'm not rooting for one to be good and one to be bad. You know, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan first. I want to see the Browns turn around and be a great team. So this first clip, this is the exact same person who we just saw. He's going to speak on what he sees from Dillion Gabriel.
Do you know anything about Dillion Gabriel at all? The third round pick that the Browns ended up taking out of Oregon?
Yeah, of course.
What do you think about him? Do you think a lot of his traits, when Stefanski describes him, actually sounds very similar to some of the traits that Shedeur has and possesses?
Nah, well,
from a football standpoint, not off the field or any of that other stuff.
Yeah. No, I think Dillion. I think him. It's kind of funny. We brought up Brock Purdy. I see him as number 2 for life, at best. You know, and in a third round, that's fine. I mean, you get number 2. You know, I'm in Green Bay, and we have Brett Favre, who's a 3-time MVP in 3 years in a row, and every year we took a quarterback. You know, so as a backup, of course. You know, Brett never missed any games, but yeah, I see him as a really good college quarterback. I see him as an average NFL quarterback.
All right, so that was the same person. That was Scott's take on Dillion Gabriel. They wanted to put Dillion Gabriel in the category of Shedeur. They also kind of hinted at him being in the category of Brock Purdy. And that same person who stamped his name to Shedeur, he just says he views Dillion Gabriel as a number 2 for life, a backup quarterback, which is good. And, that's his take. So, you can argue it back and forth once I drop the clips and everything. But, I'm giving you his take and how he views other players that were drafted this year. So this is another clip I have.
Plug and play.
I think
Let me start this over. Same one. This is Scott again. Let's listen to it.
When you watch Shedeur, do you see a guy that could benefit from a time on the bench, or do you think he's ready to just kind of plug and play?
I think he's ready to right now. Let's go. I think because with his father, they ran the spread. Don't get me wrong, all colleges do 3-4 receiver sets, all that stuff. But his dad's taught him what he looked at in quarterbacks when he was playing that were good and why they were good. Which ones are going to challenge him, which ones won't challenge him. I think if he hits it and gets it, and it's the same thing we did in Seattle when we took Russell Wilson. Everybody's like, we just signed Flynn. We gave him $8 million or whatever, and all of a sudden Russell comes in the first 2 weeks of training camp. I'm like, it's not even close. And then Pete Carroll comes on and says, he's our starter, and he just took off. I could see that happening. I honestly could.
So that's his view. They asked him, does Shedeur need to sit back and wait, or can he take off right away? He says he believes Shedeur could take off right away. He could start right away. So make sure when I clip this stuff up, put your comments there. Let me know if you agree, disagree. I think we got him here. Okay, so this is the last clip I have when they're speaking with him. This is where he speaks on, he was part of the process of breaking down Baker Mayfield when the Cleveland Browns selected Baker Mayfield number 1 overall.
And you guys identified Baker.
Let me start it over. All right, so here we go.
you really highlighted the demeanor and some of the things you liked seeing, just even on the sidelines. Does it remind you at all, the demeanor, the mentality, how people gravitated towards him, of Baker Mayfield? When, and, you know, I remember in 2018 when John Dorsey used you as a consultant here with the Browns, and you guys identified Baker, and that was an absolute home run of a hit, in my opinion. Is the similarities there for you between Baker and Shedeur in that respect?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I'll never forget, I was at Baker's workout at OU, and, you know, all the players there early, stretching, doing whatever, and he came walking in, and they all started snapping their fingers. I'm like, what are they doing? I was talking outside the head coach. I'm like, what are they doing?
The Pied Piper.
That means the leader's here. It's time to go. You know, and I saw the same thing on the sideline with Shedeur. I'll never forget Travis Hunter. There's a ball thrown and Shedeur missed it, and it's third down, and Travis put his hands in the air like he was pissed off. He jumped his tail on the sideline. He put his finger right in his face. He says, "You never do that."
So as you heard them even break it down, he was part of the collective that helped the Cleveland Browns decide on taking Mayfield number 1 overall. Baker Mayfield was the last quarterback that I believe a lot of fans got behind. A lot of fans enjoyed what he did for the city, what he did for the team. So he kind of sees some similarities in Baker and Shedeur, which is funny because that was the first thing that came to my mind when pre-draft and around the time of the draft. I was like, how did you enjoy seeing Baker do this and, had this cockiness and way about him, and then you don't enjoy it from Shedeur when Baker was kind of the last one who took the Browns to the playoffs? I couldn't understand it. I thought I was crazy, but I guess I'm not crazy. So now this is
hot button topics,
This is Joe Bitonio. Like I said, he's a starting guard for the Cleveland Browns. He's one of the leaders on the team. He's going to speak to his interactions with Shedeur so far and kind of what he sees. So I definitely want to bring this to y'all. I know this is where we're going in the weeds and we're getting more breakdowns, something that you're really not finding with some of these other channels. So really working my way and doing my best to be that go-to person for y'all. So let's go. Joe Bitonio.
I think to have two young guys that can develop and kind of battle and push, there's really nothing wrong with it. I was there this last week and I was around him. He was in the meetings. Both of them were. I actually talked to the rookies one day, just, tried to give them some advice on how to, learn the playbook and stuff. And it's hard to tell in, 3 days, but I think if you look at every Instagram, every Twitter, everything the Browns do, it's something about, Shedeur Sanders or sign Nick Chubb. So I think it's the hot button topics, that we have. But, I've met him, just for a few days, and he seems like he's ready to work, just like all the rookies. It seems like a good rookie class. The guys are focused, trying to learn the playbook right now, which I told him, like, you're not going to play if you don't have the playbook. So, learn that as best as possible, and then kind of everything else will fall into place. I think to have two young guys that can develop and
all right, so that's replaying. That's Joe Bitonio, a very respected guy in the Browns locker room, one of the leaders of the team. So he said he had interactions with Shedeur. He spoke to the rookies. He's there. He's ready to work. Gave the rookies some advice that, hey, you got to learn the playbook. Once you learn that playbook, that's how you work your way into actually being able to play. So it's been multiple times we've heard Shedeur speak on how he's getting in the playbook and making sure he's getting that down. So last thing I want to bring to y'all is Shedeur did another interview with the Browns, and we're going to listen to his interview, see how he's feeling, see his energy and all those things, because when it comes to Shedeur, a lot of times we had to listen to secondhand knowledge and stories about how he feels, but anytime we get the chance to actually listen to him say it, we're going to listen to him versus everything else. So we're going to let him break it down. Here we go. Fair use. Shout out to the Cleveland Browns. Like I said, the Cleveland Browns putting out so much content, making sure we really get to know these guys and understand them And quick thing, when I always talk about how, the questions that the Cleveland media asks our players, they don't get any insight for them. You're going to see the type of questions you ask when you're trying to get to know a player. In this interview right here with Andrew Siciliano, he's going to ask great questions, great energy. So you'll see the difference in what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Looking out of the building here at the Cross Country Mortgage Fieldhouse, and you looked at that grass. How good was it day one on Friday to actually put that 12 on, get to that in a second.
My bad, y'all.
And be a Cleveland Brown?
It felt amazing. I came here.
You really highlighted the
30
demeanor
visit,
and some of the things you liked seeing, just even
when
you watch Shedeur. Do you see a guy that could,
want to know where I'm gonna end up at, where I'm gonna be, and what franchise I'm gonna have a chance of turning around. So I was just excited that finally, everything came true, and this building is extremely comfortable.
The end of a long journey. I would have to think that actually getting that whole process, getting the pro day, getting all of that behind you, and actually putting a helmet on and throwing a football just felt normal again, didn't it?
It did. So that's why I told myself, yesterday, after yesterday's practice, I said, I got to have more fun.
Did you not have fun day
No,
one?
I have a lot. Nah, for sure I have fun, but you got to think in those processes, it's so serious all the time. And whenever you're around the teammates and just being around everybody now, it gave me that wholesome feeling again, just being around just the team chemistry, the different personalities that you're going to meet. Just all those different type of things.
So, be loose, in other words. Be yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll say that. That's what teams bring out of you. So now everybody gelling with each other, everybody met each other, so it's real exciting that, I'm excited for today's practice.
It feels like the pressure's off you a little bit more. Pressure's a
not
weird phrase,
not
but
really
the weight of the
pressure.
world of the whole process.
Nah, not really the weight of the process. It's you actually able to meet and understand different human beings that is in the same process with you. That's what the most interesting thing and fun thing to me is now, that these are actual people too.
We don't see it, but you're wearing 12. You're joking to the media that you're not buying anyone else's number right now.
I'm not doing that.
No, but did 12 feel good? It's Dad's number backwards.
You get the hint. You get the hint. So yeah, it felt good wearing it for sure. It felt good wearing it. Any number gonna feel good wearing it. It's about what I do in the number, for real.
I love what you said out there as well.
All right, we're just going to pause it. Fair use. Shout out to the Cleveland Browns for getting this content out. You see his energy. He's definitely relaxed. He's definitely laughing, joking. So you see he has good energy going into this. One thing that I highlighted last week was, Florio and Sims saying he's not mad enough. He fell. They wanted to see a more angry version of him. It just didn't make sense to me. Why would you want to see him angry? Why wouldn't you want him see him accept what happened, move forward, and just start putting his head down and working? Because supposedly that's what everybody was nervous about. Oh, can he do the work on his own without his dad there? How is he going to feel not having, his entourage, quote unquote, which is his brothers, there with him? So this is really good energy that he's showing. He's happy. He's excited. So, just seeing the difference, and you see the type of questions he's asking him. So when he said, now he kind of asked him about the weight of the world and all the process being over. And that's when you're really getting the true voice of how Shedeur feels, when he's saying, no, it's not really the weight of the world. It's just you going through a process alone, because when you draft it, you don't know what team you're going through. You don't know what team is going to pick you, all those things. But now he's back in the locker room with the team. He's back where he feels most comfortable. So let's get back to it. Just had to stop there. When you're using a lot of different YouTube videos, I got to stop things for fair use purposes. So that's what that was. So let's get back to it.
Oh, you said you're not here to prove people wrong. Finish it for me. You are
here to prove myself right.
How do you prove yourself right?
Win games. I think that's what all the fans and that's what everybody want to see, and just be the person I know I am.
How do you embrace this competition, not just with Dillion Gabriel, but with the other quarterbacks in what we all agree is a crowded quarterback room?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
Just focus on myself and what I need to do to get better in any areas, I'm lacking in.
What have your first couple of days, you've been here for a while now, a couple of weeks now, been in Cleveland, whether it's going to meet kids at a high school, working out, sitting in your hotel room, I know, watching the Cavs and grinding on the playbook as well. What's that all been like for you?
It was been a good experience. It's been different for me. It's adjustment, I would say. But it was an adjustment for the better. And, like, you know, when I get to my hotel room, I feel comfortable in there every day, you know, because I know I'm not leaving here until they say. So it's exciting, you know, that I'm able to have a nice place to sleep at that's make me feel cozy, make me feel at home. I know I won't be switching rooms and getting in and out of, you know, different hotel rooms.
How important is it for you to get out in the community?
I would say it's extremely important, but it's important for my own happiness. You know?
How does it make you happy?
It makes me happy because I'm being able to connect with people, connect with human beings, and not just because this is the thing. If you live in a world of social media, you're gonna think very negatively, and this for all athletes. You'll think very negatively about yourself, or you'll feel too high up. You get what I'm saying? Because that's how media is. You're either gonna be high up or they're gonna tear you down. It's gonna be one or two. There's no in between. So for me, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I focus on, you know, real life. I never seen hate in real life by fans and people spectating that I met ever. So hate only exists online, basically.
How do you deal with it? Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying hate, just it's spotlight. Some of it can be negative, certainly. How do you deal with that?
It's the same as it is every year. So I'm accustomed to it. I'm used to it. So I don't even really, you know, focus on it. It don't live in my mind at all.
What's the biggest misconception about you, whether it be from social media
I
or
don't know
elsewhere?
what people think of me. I don't know what people think of me. So if we had just a questionnaire and put everybody in the building, what do you think about Shedeur eventually, then I'm pretty sure it'll be nothing but positive.
I guarantee you there'll be plenty of positives as well, and there'll be positives when they get out there on the field.
We're going to stop this again. So one thing, all the questions that Andrew is asking him, they're all open-ended. He's not asking him yes or no questions. He's asking him all questions where you have to explain, and that's how you get to know a person. So quick story, not going to go on a long tangent. I used to be a recruiter, and that was the key to recruiting, to get to know a person, to see if they'll be a good fit for the role that you have open. You ask open-ended questions. You never ask questions where it's yes or no, because yes or no gives you no information. So let's get back to it. Fair use again for using this video.
Field as well. You have a message here for Browns fans who have been, speaking of social media, obviously sitting on their phones, hanging on their phones, looking for every possible clip of you or Dillion or any of these rookies, Mason Graham, all the way down the line. What is your message here for the Dog Pound?
We're here to work. Simple. That's what we came here to do. That's what we're going to do.
All right, and that work begins this weekend, Shedeur. The 12 looks good, man.
Begins now.
Begins now.
Actually, yesterday.
All right, well, we're about to get out there for day 2. Good luck with that, my friend.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed that conversation with Shedeur Sanders.
All right, so I think that was Shedeur was the most comfortable. He was comfortable at when they were at the rookie minicamp when he was speaking, but I think he was a lot more comfortable here. He was making eye contact. He was answering every question. He was joking. You can definitely see that he felt comfortable. And then also, I think Andrew did a great job of not over talking, not asking, 3-layer questions. A lot of times, like, you'll hear where they'll ask a question and it'll be, for instance, they asked a question to Dillion, Gabriel. Well, Dillion, how do you feel with all the attention that Shedeur brings and you being in the quarterback room with him? How can that impact you? It's like ask very direct questions that are open-ended so you can get to know this person. So a lot of times when y'all see me where I'm where I'm critiquing the style of questions that the Cleveland media has, it's never really just to get to know the person. This is the second time Shedeur is speaking, and you can look at this and you can get to know him more as a person. And I think that's what the reporters should be able to. They should ask the questions that help us get to know the players, that builds that environment of where we want to root for them. So There's a funny part to the end of this. He's going to show you how Shedeur helped him out. So let's get to it.
I want to pull back the curtain if I could for you here. So I actually made the rookie mistake. To show you the kind of teammate Shedeur is at the very beginning of that interview, I got the days wrong. I mean,
I don't know why.
We've all been on the road. Everyone's been working. And I said that today was, what day is it? I got the day wrong. I said it was Friday. On Saturday, your first day as a Brown in uniform?
Saturday?
Saturday.
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, I got my days wrong. You want to do it again? Dude. Right? And he looked at me. Huh? And he's corrected me. And then I didn't get it. And then this was like 20 seconds into the interview. And then I'm like, oh, man, I got the days wrong. We had a good laugh about it. And then we started over. But like you saw a little glimpse of him. Like he was going to be a good teammate. He was going to help you. He was going to pick you up.
You the life preserver.
Right?
And you drown low again.
And we started over. And then I also really thought that came through again later in the interview when he said that, Gibby, he said after day one of practice that he wasn't really himself. And part of being himself is getting that energy from his teammates and learning everyone's name and getting to know the people you're going to be sharing a locker room with. And that process is something that he really enjoys, and that with each passing day, he's going to be more of himself.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it a little bit today with the media.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an environment he thrives in.
All right, so that was Shedeur's, interview that they released. They released this a day ago. I think it was really good. I thought that was pretty funny when they kind of showed where Andrew kind of messed up on the days, had his days running together, which I totally get that. When you're out here working and grinding, trying to get to it, you're going to mess up some days. It happens to the best of us. We're not going to knock you for it. So that's it. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I believe it was a great show. My goals are to bring insight, they're to bring logic, and they're to bring you a fresh perspective when it comes to covering sports as well as the Browns. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Make sure you follow me, Offtharecorddee, on all platforms. Make sure you follow Offtharecorddee on YouTube. Trying to build that thing up. Also, want to add that new segment to the show, Comment Creeping. So if you want your comment highlighted in the next show, you got to subscribe to my YouTube channel and comment on one of my videos, give input. Say, hey, I disagree with you here. I agree with you here. I like this. I don't like this. So we can get to it. Remember, I'm here to, have dialogue. You know what I'm saying? And, that's a way that y'all can be a part of the show. So besides me just talking to the screen, I actually get to talk to you individually. Just like earlier when I read Amber's comment on my YouTube. Shout out to Amber again. You were the first one. You gave me the idea of comment creeping. So hopefully you come back and, add more comments. And then also, if you weren't able to listen to the entire stream, this stream will be live on YouTube tomorrow, 11 a.m. I'll get this thing out for you. And then also, I work to get them timestamps out to you too, because I cover so many different subjects throughout a stream. I want to make sure that y'all can jump right to a point or go back and re-listen to something, a breakdown or something I'm doing that you really enjoy. So I appreciate everybody for tapping in. I appreciate everybody for being here. I appreciate the opportunity to show up again for y'all. So until y'all see me in the next one, peace.